Welcome everyone. This is a follow-up questions that we received from our audience back in the webinar Mapping Value for Money on Precision Medicine, hosted by HITAP Thailand and the Swasri Hawk School of Public Health, National University of Singapore, and featured by our guest lecturer, Assistant Professor Wen Jie Shen, on 22nd of June 2023. And these are the answers to your questions. Budget implications of precision medicine. How can stakeholders be persuaded that precision medicine is a promising intervention for reducing healthcare costs, particularly in low-middle income countries where budgets are limited?
Thanks for the question, but I personally do not think that we should persuade the stakeholders about whether PM is a promising intervention that can lead to reduced costs, because whether it is true or not a statement, we need to conduct evaluation to prove it. So I think going back to the purpose of our study, we should standardize the conduct and report of PM evaluation to better convince the stakeholders that the results about the cost effectiveness profile of a new PM intervention is reliable and reproducible and comparable with other new health technologies. And developing a specific reference case would definitely help in this regard, in particular for the economic evaluation that is conducted in lower to middle income countries.
Your study revealed that studies funded by private or for-profit entities demonstrated higher value for money. What recommendations do you have to mitigate bias in privately funded studies? Which methodological aspects contribute most significantly to the increased value for money in these studies?
Again, it's very necessary to use consistent and unbiased method to evaluate precision medicine, and we need to have a we need to have a consensus of how we should perform and report the economic evaluation of precision medicine to minimize the room for potential study manipulation. We have, from our meta-analysis work, we have already observed that there are potential rooms for study manipulation. For example, for PM intervention with relative less favorable cost effectiveness profile, we observed that some of the key value drivers are related to the methods that researchers chose to use, such as the choice of study perspective and even the specification of model types. Markov, like a more complicated model, will lead to a less favorable cost effectiveness profile than less complicated model. But it doesn't mean that the increased value for money in these studies are because of the methodological specifications. It could be also possible that the negative studies funded by for-profit entities may be less likely to be published. So all in all, to conclude, we think that it's important to standardize the method to conduct and report the economic evaluation of PM.
It is intriguing to observe that stakeholders prioritize budget impact over clinical effectiveness and value for money. Could you provide an explanation for this cautious approach?
Yeah, I also find this to be intriguing, but in fact, it's not surprising at all, right? Because we are all living in a world with limited resources, and it's always important to keep investment under budget. So for decision makers, they prioritize budget impact over clinical effectiveness. I believe it's something that is certain out of all the uncertainties, that budget impact is the concrete figure of money, whereas clinical effectiveness and value for money, these metrics are associated with certain type of uncertainty there. Yeah.